So I saw this post on Facebook from a group called Unusual Facts, and it's kind of gruesome. It fits this episode. It says a hoarder who is legally blind and whose son had not been seen for 2 decades was discovered to have been cohabiting with his corpse. Authorities uncovered his fully clothed skeleton in a room cluttered with cobwebs and trash. The mother stated that she believed he had just moved away.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Me either. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Samantha.
Welcome to X-UMED. Tonight's episode is part 2 of Return Jonathan Meggs Ward.
And it sounds like your pet pig is back. Just your dog.
Yep. Yes, and here he is. For those of you watching and not just listening, his name is Ruxin Stinkbottom. You say it with an English accent, and I don't even know why. It's just what we decided. Oh, and he just wants to lay right next to me, so there's nothing I can do. So, last episode we left off with the fact that Olive came back to Sylvania with the motive of just grabbing her stuff that Ward wouldn't let her take with her and leaving again. And that she stepped over to her neighbors to borrow some eggs and was never seen again. That was on February 3rd. Before I continue, this whole episode is going to be a trigger warning for domestic violence and possibly excessive gore.
Good to know.
Ward's first confession of what happened was that February 3rd, they had words. And that Olive had picked up an oil lamp and hit him across the face with it, causing his nose to bleed. She tried to hit him again with it, and he said, "I begged her not to strike me." And then he took the oil lamp away from her and went to bed. That was it. 6 or 7 a.m., they woke up, and Ward was like, "Look at my face. Look at what you did to me." And her response was, "I wish you would have bled to death." She's like, "Good. Wish you would have bled to death."
Okay. I mean, he's a dick. Okay.
Then he says after that, she picked up a hickory stick and attempted to hit him with it. And he warded her off and made her drop the stick. And when she bent down to pick it up, he hit her over the head with a flat iron on the right side, driving her earring into the back of her head. Have you ever had a stud in your ear and like you hit your ear and the back of it just goes right into your head right there? That hurts.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
He said that she fell to the floor and she said, "Oh, Ward, you have killed me." Are you, as a wife, going to call your husband by his last name?
No.
And is "you have killed me" the first thing that you're going to think of to say?
It would usually probably be screaming and a lot of violent vocal words.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not what she said. It just seems pretty unbelievable. I think he's got a thing with shock value with some of this. That's my opinion. Because that sounds a little too dramatic. So he said, quote, "She was lying on her side. I turned her over on her back and placed a petticoat under her head. Supposing she was only stunned, I used all means in my power to restore her. But in half an hour, she died, having only said once, 'Oh, my Nellie,' meaning, I suppose, her little girl."
Okay.
But he said, meaning, I suppose, her little girl. Like, how callous and heartless does that sound? Like, I guess that's who she meant, you know?
Yeah, no,
I
it
hate
sounds
this dude.
unbelievable.
It does. I don't like this dude at all. I hate this dude. But that was his first confession. He made it sound kind of sort of like self-defense and kind of sort of like he was remorseful about what he did.
Oh, so that's not even true?
No, not all of it. No. He softened it up a lot because at this point, he's still thinking that he's going to get away with it. You know?
He got away with the others.
Exactly. So he's not telling the whole truth just yet. When he does tell the whole truth a little bit later, when he realizes that he's screwed, this is when he just confesses to all of the murders and this one. This is what he says. When Olive told Return she did not intend to stay, he said the declaration was spoken against her life. The moment she uttered it, I was fully resolved that she should never leave my house alive. So he says on February 3rd, they fought about her leaving and they went to bed angry. And Ward knew she would take the first opportunity in the morning to leave. So he had to, quote, take revenge on her at once.
Okay, so right there, he already knew that he was going to kill her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he knew he was going to kill her the second he found out that she was going to leave him again.
Because she's not going to leave his house.
Yeah, not alive. And I love how he says, oh, I'm going to take revenge on her. What'd she do to you? Honestly, all we have is his word, though. We don't have her word. We don't really know. We know the kind of relationship they had. We don't know what kind of person she was, except for the fact that her neighbors were her friends. She was loved. They missed her. They searched for her. So I'm thinking that there was no reason to take revenge on her. She didn't do anything.
Probably my assumption, good person. People cared about her. I mean, the revenge is her leaving. He's taken revenge upon her wanting to leave. She no longer wants to be with him. Maybe she sees the devil inside of him.
By this point, probably, yeah.
Probably.
So February 4th, he awoke, quote, embittered, and began to plot. At 6 a.m., he got up and lit a fire. And when the house was warm enough, Olive got up and began to gather more of her things. He asked her again if she planned to leave. She's like, hell yeah, I am. I'm leaving. So they fought some more. And then Olive sat down and bent down to put on her shoes. Ward, standing behind her, picked up a smoothing iron. He said that he hesitated for a second, but then she kind of moved like she was going to turn around. And that's when he hit her. He hit her over the head with the smoothing iron.
What's a smoothing iron?
A smoothing iron is another way to say clothing
It's
iron.
An iron.
It's
okay.
Yeah. And remember, these are like heavy, solid irons.
Yeah.
So he cracked her skull in with it, and she fell to the floor. He said the blood flowed considerably from the wound and from her mouth and her nose, and I took a couple of quilts and placed them under her to prevent it from oozing onto the floor. Not to comfort her, just to keep it from making a mess. Now there's blood. But he didn't do that to comfort her. It was just to keep her from making a mess. She struggled but little and did not speak after I struck her, and died in about 15 minutes. He just sat there and watched her die for 15 minutes. You know how long 15 minutes is?
A long time. And then he, with the first murder, he put a pillow over his head to make it go quick. He was enjoying this. He wanted to actually relish in the moment and watch it happen because the others were quick.
That might have been part of it. Well, the others were for money.
Yeah.
This was for revenge. This was a completely different motive.
This is emotion, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So at 7 a.m., he rolled her body up in quilts and shoved her under the bed. Then he left the house to get breakfast. But he said that he was sick to his stomach and couldn't eat, so he just came back home. A few minutes later, his wife is rolled up in a quilt shoved under a bed, and a boy came to the door to deliver milk, and Ward let him in the house. Think about that for a second.
Trying to make things normal.
I understand that, but this little boy walked into the house, had no idea that he was interacting with a murderer, and had no idea what kind of horror show was in the very next room. And Ward probably didn't even think twice about it. Like, wow, this is a really fucked up situation. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It probably didn't even dawn on him how messed up that was, you know?
Probably not.
So he paid for the milk and the boy left. Then Ward left the house again and went to the store for a pound of sugar. He told the store owner, Mr. Allen, that he and Olive were going away. And if anyone came to see him, tell them he would be home the following morning. Then Ward went back home. So at this point, all the neighbors think that him and Olive are going to be away for the day. Keep that in mind. So he goes back home and he says, in that solitary house alone with my dead wife murdered by my own hand and still weltering in her blood, with my guilt and fear of detection ever before me. My situation was not to be envied. Poor baby.
Yeah.
Fuck
What
this
a
guy.
dick.
So then he proceeds to close all the curtains and made sure all the doors were locked. And then he thought about what he should do with the body. He'd be seen by the neighbors if he took her outside and buried her, so he couldn't do that. All the houses were so close together. By the way, this house was on Main Street in downtown Sylvania. I forgot to mention this earlier. His house was on Main Street. It was called Division back then. But anyone that knows Sylvania knows downtown Sylvania and Main Street.
Yeah.
And yeah, and all the houses, little wooden houses, real close together. So there was no way that he was going to get away with burying her in the backyard. Someone was going to see him. But something had to be done immediately. And that something was that he decided to burn the body. So he dragged her out from under the bed, cut all of her clothes off, here we go. Cut open her abdomen and took out her bowels and put them in the stove.
Wow, we're getting right into it then.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't get any better after this. He says, quote, as they got hot, they appeared to fill with wind and explode, making such noise that I feared the neighbors would hear. But by pricking holes in the inflated parts, I succeeded in obviating this difficulty, and in the course of a couple of hours, the bowels were wholly consumed. So you just sat there like poking holes in it so it wouldn't explode. In the bowels. I mean, just picture that if you want to.
The stomach, intestines, all of the other things.
All of the things,
Ew.
yeah.
No, I'm good.
He
Keep
burned.
going.
He burned all the other organs in the same way. He said, by night I had made considerable progress in my disgusting work. The blood I had bailed out with my hands. So he disembowels her, takes out all of her organs, and what's left inside of her is just a pool of blood. And he just scoops it out with his hands.
Okay.
I think that was the part when I was reading this book. When I read that part, I was like, oh, like audibly. And then I had to kind of look around like, did anyone hear me?
Like, that makes Hannibal Lecter look normal.
I mean, he didn't even care. I don't think it even grossed him out. But wait, there's more.
For 3 easy payments.
Okay, behave yourself. This is not funny. So the way that he was able to dispose of the blood was that he took her clothes and he soaked her clothes in the blood and he threw that in the stove to burn it that way, which, you know, it makes sense. I guess that was a smart thing to do.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So then he says, having disposed of the lighter parts of the body, I next undertook to unjoint the legs at the hips, in doing which I had great difficulty. When I finally succeeded, I took the legs and divided them at the knees and put them in the large wash boiler attached to the stove. I then unjointed the arms in the same way, and after cutting them in two at the elbows, packed them in the boiler. Then I cut out the collarbone, the breastbone, the portions of the ribs, and packed them in the boiler, burning up only such small portions as the fire would readily consume. In getting out the ribs and breaking the body, I was obliged to use blows, which were probably the noises heard by the neighbors and spoken of at my trial. Finally, I took the head off and put that in the boiler, and by the time night came on, I had reduced the body to such small pieces as to crowd it all into the boiler. I then covered the boiler over with a cloth and shoved it under the bed.
A boiler?
This boiler, I'm imagining like a big pot that they used maybe to wash clothes and wash dishes. It had to have been big enough to fit all of that stuff in it, but small enough still to fit underneath the bed. So think of like a huge crock pot or something that you could probably slide under a bed.
And putting like a chicken or something in that.
Yeah, but in his case, this was not a Dahmer thing.
No, but I can see how that would make it easier.
You see where it's going.
Yeah, we shouldn't actually say the words. This is trigger warning enough.
Yeah, this whole episode.
What a dick.
It's really bad.
Like, I guess that's creative. No, I'm not giving him credit. No. Okay.
So after all of that was done, he says that he was exhausted and he went to bed and slept till morning. All that day he stayed in because he told Mr. Allen that they were supposed to be out of town, right? So he couldn't show his face. He was supposed to be gone. But the next day he went out for breakfast and to walk around the town just to see if he could hear any gossip and see if anyone was talking about the fact that Olive might be missing.
Okay. Somewhat normal. I understand that.
Yeah. People did ask him where she was. And at first he said that she had gone to California. He goes, she left me again. She went to California. And I guess he said that she went to California with some other guy, but there wasn't very much mention of that. So I can't remember exactly what he said.
At least my cats are quiet.
Oh, you can hear him?
I always hear him.
Keep in mind, though, that these people weren't believing what he was saying to them because the entire time that he was supposed to be gone the day before, first of all, the curtains that he closed, he only had half curtains. So the top of the window you could still see through. So all day long, people were seeing like a head bobbing by the window. Like someone was obviously home.
It's not
Another
funny. It's not funny, but I'm picturing like a cartoon character.
I guess the way I'm explaining it isn't. I'm making it funny without meaning to. I'm not meaning to. Other than that, also, there was black smoke coming from his chimney all day. All day that him and Olive were supposed to be gone. Someone was walking past the window and there was black smoke coming out of the chimney, and the neighbors were complaining about it. They said that the whole neighborhood smelled like death.
I mean, yeah.
And think about that smoke's got to come down.
Oh,
Soot.
Yeah, so they're walking around essentially in Olive.
Mm-hmm. I didn't want to say it. You said it for me.
Well,
But the next day, he takes the body back out. He said, after kindling a fire, I drew it out and cut the flesh from the larger bones. She had been boiling in that boiler. She had been soaking. So it was really easy to get the skin off the bones. And those of the legs, thighs, and arms and ribs, and put the bones with the portions of flesh into the stove and continued to work at them through the next day. Saturday the 7th in the morning, sometime before this, he was asked if they could search his house because Olive was missing and they didn't trust what he was saying. So Saturday the 7th, they came in. They came in to search and they found nothing. They didn't look very hard though. They found nothing, even though the body was right under the bed in the boiler, and they missed it.
They probably didn't know what they were looking for. They were just probably looking for Olive.
I think what they were doing was just looking for signs of anything. I don't think at this point they were actually looking for a body.
Okay.
So after that, he was told the neighbors weren't satisfied and wanted another search. And Ward said, cool, bring everyone. Bring them all. He was really arrogant about it. He's like, you're not going to find anything. But after that, he couldn't concentrate on any more remains. So he went to his niece's. He had been going to his niece's house while he had been disposing of the body little by little. I don't know if it was because he needed to get away from the gore, but if you're doing something like that in your own home, are you going to leave your home unattended at night with all that evidence in it? I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, I need to be at home protecting all this evidence, not letting anybody in.
Normal way of thinking, yeah.
Yeah, but still, he was arrogant. He didn't think he was going to get caught. So when he went to his niece's house, this time, though, there was already suspicion. And his niece and her daughter acted like they were afraid of him. And he's like, oh, so you've heard. He's like, you can come search too. He's like, you're welcome to come search. You will find nothing. So he went back to his house on Sunday and cut up and burnt the rest of the body. And all of her clothing and belongings he burnt up. They ended up in an ash heap in the backyard. This backyard they're talking about was like an alley behind the house. That alley is still there to this day.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm. He says, I had, I suppose, completely obliterated all evidences of her previous existence.
Obliviated. What was the word?
Did I say obliviated?
No, I think
I meant obliterated.
Obliterated. Well, I
don't know which one I said.
That's a great way to put it.
I guess so. For the next week, there was no search, so Ward had time to completely clean his house and clothing as well as he could. He was seen dumping out bloody water outside. The neighbors by this point were fully convinced that he had killed Olive, and some were pretty vocal about it. He said, there were some who were very violent against me and talked so fiercely that I was sometimes afraid that they would take vengeance on me by lynch law.
Well, you
Poor
deserve
baby.
it.
Were you scared because they were gonna take revenge on you? Like, I have no sympathy.
I have no idea what he's even feeling right now.
Did they hurt your feelings?
Yeah, right?
So Saturday, Valentine's Day, February 14th.
How special.
People from Adrian ended up coming down looking for Olive. And by this point, Ward had changed his story. Instead of, she went to California, he told everyone that she left and went back to Adrian. Now there are people from Adrian looking for her. And everyone's like, well, I don't know why you're here because Ward told me that Olive went back home to you guys. And they're like, no, we haven't seen her. So she's not here. She's not with us. So by this point, they put 2 and 2 together and Olive was just missing. So they did another search. They found blood on the bed from his nose and arrested him, but then they let him go because he told them that blood is not hers. It's from my nose when she hit me with the oil lamp. Ward was confident at this point that he was not going to get caught. They arrested me. They let me go. There's no evidence. Monday the 16th, there was another search, and this one was more thorough. They ended up finding the ash pile in the backyard. What they found in it was metal parts from her clothing and her trunk. A ring, like a coral ring that she always used to wear, was in there. Her jawbone and part of a skull. They could tell that it was her jawbone. There were no forensics, but she was known to have kind of a prominent chin.
Okay.
And it showed in the jawbone. The jawbone was big enough to where they could tell that. And they're like, that's Olive. So Ward again was arrested and took to jail. Ward says, how such a large piece of bone escaped my notice, I cannot tell. I had been very careful to burn all the bones till they would crumble in my hand, and then put them in my coat pocket and distributed them in the fields or threw them in the creek. What's that creek called? The 10-mile creek?
6 or 10 miles, something like that, yeah.
Anyone in Slovenia knows what creek I'm talking about. I supposed that I had, in this way, effectually disposed of every piece of bone large enough to attract any attention. I did not know that I had overlooked this remnant of the jaw, which afterwards became so important in my trial.
Okay, so you're gathering up all the ashes and you're throwing them in your backyard. You don't feel that? And then for anyone who has no idea, this creek, so he's probably, I think that he is the 4th house in from Monroe Street. So
the creek is on the other side of Monroe Street, like down a ways too.
Yeah. And right now
it was kind of a hike.
Kind of, yeah, but not too bad. And I'm thinking about it. It's like what's right there right now is what a hotel, what the Lunar Station was there, Marco's Pizza.
That was way, way down the street.
Okay.
It would have been the hotel. I think it's the Wyndham Hotel. But yeah, I mean, he walked around everywhere in town. So yeah, I mean, that's the creek, obviously, that he threw her ashes into. But the thing is, with the bone, I can see how he forgot it because he didn't have any remorse about what he did, but he was always afraid that he was going to get caught. He was arrogant enough to think, I'm not going to get caught, but he still had that panic in him too. So I think, I mean, if I would have done something like that, I would have been out of my goddamn mind and I would have missed it too.
And just getting rid of it. He didn't think that he was gonna get caught anyways, so whatever was in his hands, he's just trying to dispose of and get rid of because he wasn't gonna get caught.
So Ward's in jail for good this time, but all of the evidence was circumstantial evidence only because there's no hard evidence. You can't prove that that's Olive. There's no forensics. There was no way to test the ashes. There was no way to test the bone. They knew it was her, but they couldn't prove it. So it was all circumstantial. So he's got these 2 people talking to him. The one guy's name is Fuller, I believe, and another guy, I think, named Price. So they're talking to him, and, it's their job to give him a fair trial. whether they think he's innocent or guilty. And they ask him, "Do you think your wife will return?" He said, "No, she will not return." And they go, "Well, you said that she went to California. We can go to California and look for her. Will we find her?" And he said, "No, I do not believe that you will find her, and she will not return."
That's a confession.
It, pretty much. I mean, at this point, the lawyers are just kind of looking at him like, "You're guilty
Yeah.
as hell. Like, you did this." But they still have to defend him. I'm not going to go through the entire trial, but he was ultimately found guilty after only 30 minutes or so of the jury going to meet and talk about what their verdict is going to be. It took them a half hour. Came back unanimously guilty. So he is in prison. His lawyers told him, "You need to appeal this." And he said, "Yes, I want to appeal this immediately." And he said it was because the longer this went on for, the more time it was going to give prosecution to find more evidence to hold against him. They asked for an appeal, and it was either denied or he was found guilty again. But yeah, he was stuck in jail. And he had claimed that, like, after the verdict, he just kind of went to his jail cell and sat there for a minute, like, indifferent about the whole thing, because he was just kind of in shock, disbelief.
That he finally got caught.
Yeah. And that he was not getting away with it this time. And now we come to the judge and what the judge said to him. And I love what the judge said to him, because this judge shamed him. This judge fucked him up. And I'm glad he did. Now, I'm going to paraphrase this because the judge said a lot, but I'm only going to read the parts that I think are the most important.
Well, especially since in that time it took them 5 sentences to form one. A lot of words.
Exactly. So bear with me because the way that they talk is a little confusing. "Who can calmly think of such a scene where man tears from his helpless, bleeding victim that life which God alone can give?" Here the prisoner starts weeping bitterly. Poor baby. "Think not that the law has dealt with you unmercifully, or should you think that your punishment was hard to be borne. Look back and think of her whose spirit has been by your hand, forced, unwarned, and unprepared. Think of the agony of that scene, with no pitying eye to weep, no fond heart to sympathize, and no friendly hand to close the dying eye, or to respond to her last dying grasp. She whom you had sworn to love, honor, and protect, now before you powerless, gasping in the last agonies of death. What is your fate compared to hers?" Yeah, that's right. Fuck you. "I would impress upon you the stern necessity of preparing for death." He's like, "You better get right with Jesus right now."
Right?
Because you're going to meet him. "It is the common lot of all men, but God in his mercy had not revealed the time at which this great change awaits us. We cling to life and do not sufficiently contemplate the hour of death. But with you, your days are numbered, a few more revolving suns, and with you, the scene must be changed throughout the endless ages of eternity. Do not flatter yourself with any hope of escaping the punishment of your crime. Cast them from your mind and earnestly prepare for the realities of that great change which must in a few days await you. There is now nothing further for the court to do but to pronounce the sentence of the law, in which is that you return J.M. Ward the 12th day of June next, between the hours of 10 o'clock a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. Be taken from your cell and then be hung up the neck until you are dead. And may God have mercy on your soul."
And then it was public executions. It wasn't private.
It was a little public, but private at the same time. He was hung in downtown Toledo in the old courthouse that used to be pretty much in front of where the courthouse now is. There's actually a picture of the old courthouse, and the new courthouse behind it is being built.
Yeah, I've seen that picture. It's really neat.
It's a cool black and white picture. So he was hung inside the courthouse, but the way I'm interpreting it is that he was able to be outside giving a speech to all of these people who came to witness it, but his actual hanging was done on the
Oh, I
inside.
didn't know that. Wow.
So now we come to his speech at the gallows. And this speech is kind of crazy because his emotions are kind of all over the place. And if you think about it, I can understand that because you know you're about to die. Every emotion you think of is going to run through you. And it's just, he's kind of blubbering. Like, even after everything that he did, when I read this whole speech, which I am not going to read out loud, I'm paraphrasing this too because it's just too much. It's a lot. But even after everything that he did, it still kind of made me feel sorry for him because I'm human and I have a soul and empathy. But then you think about everything that he did and you're like, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, you're still a dick.
I don't want to feel sorry for him. Yeah. So, paraphrasing, this is what he said. He said, "Now that confession is not true. I will tell you the truth. It is not so. Where is Mr. Fuller? I am very sorry he is not here. I gave him my history, but I am sorry to say that that confession is not true. They lie about me. Mr. Price, God bless you. You won't do it, will you? I killed my wife. That was bad enough. Yes, that was awful. Yes, it was awful. That's all the person I have ever killed." So he's trying to say that the confession of the other two murders never even happened.
Yeah, I
Like,
got that.
I mean, that kind of makes me think, like, did he give that confession and then back out of it? Did somebody make it up? Or is he just lying?
Well, I mean, at that
You know?
time, that's so hard to say because, well, I'm not sure at that time, but we've talked about this in other episodes, I believe with Anne Boleyn. That was in the 1500s, though. They truly believed that the second you die, you meet your maker. So you say all of your sins, get that off
So
your,
they can be
so
forgiven.
they can be forgiven. But he's not. So I don't know if that was like old world. As a 250-year difference, 300-year difference, actually. I don't
hmm
know.
All we have is the information that he's given. You know, we don't really have anyone else's
No.
word except newspaper articles. So I'm going to go on. He says, "My heart, it is blacker than the blackest hat you have ever saw. But now I am going to heaven, where I hope to see you all. Now don't believe the confession. No, don't believe it. I am going to my father and my mother. I thought there was too many here, but I guess that is all right. I guess there ain't too many here." I think he's talking about all the people that are there
Okay.
watching. Says, "I hope you all have good feelings toward me. No one can help me now but God. Mr. Fuller, who was not present. Give me time. Mr. Springer, give me time. I'll tell you when I'm ready." As he said this, he laughed. And then he added in a careless tone, "I think I've stood it pretty well, considering.
So I'm assuming,
Like, I think I'm handling this pretty well."
yeah, I'm assuming the names that he's talking about, maybe his lawyer, maybe not the
Yeah.
executioner, because you don't know that he wouldn't be privy to that information. I'm just curious of who he's talking about.
He's talking about his
Okay.
lawyers. I think the executioner was the other guy,
Yeah,
Price.
normally,
When he said, "God bless you, you won't do it, will you?" I think Price was the
no,
executioner.
normally they do not know. Like executioners usually wear a mask.
hmm Well, I
Yeah.
don't know who he was. He talked to a few people though. So after he said that weird thing, "I think I've stood it pretty well, considering." He then changed his manner, saying, "Will you pray for me? I wish I could hear someone pray for me." And then he groaned and repeated the Lord's Prayer over and over and over again. Then he said, "I hope there will never be any more crime in the world. Oh, I killed my wife. That's enough. I made up my mind that if I could not have her, nobody else could." And then he says, "I am not afraid to die." And his very last words, I'm going to admit, I don't quite understand it, but it says, "Oh my God, I am thine, thou art mine." Those were his last words. As he said those words, and at precisely 5 minutes before 12 o'clock, the bolt was drawn and word dropped straight down and hung motionless, and he was gone. After that, he was carried to the Catholic Church, and he was buried in
Mount Carmel
an
Cemetery.
unmarked grave. Yes, in Carmel Cemetery off Manhattan in Toledo.
Yeah, that cemetery is on the corner of Manhattan and LaGrange. It's not very large. I mean, I used to deliver around that area. It's a nice cemetery. Most older cemeteries are actually very nice.
I had a thing with the fact that Nobody claimed his body. He was given over to the Catholic Church. He had relatives still alive. You told me that his dad never even knew that any of this was going on. He was so old at that point that nobody had the heart to tell him.
Well, no. So I actually found a newspaper article. He was executed on June 12th. I found a newspaper article. It astonishes me. This newspaper article is from the Boston Statesman in Boston, Massachusetts. So this was such a large crime, especially in 1857, that this made it to Boston. And it wasn't even really about Return Jonathan Meggs Ward. It was about his dad, Jared Ward, who recently died in Milan, Ohio, at the age of Milan, Ohio. At the age of 91, was the father of Return Jonathan Meggs Ward, recently hung at Toledo for the murder of his wife. The good old man was never told of the ruin his son had brought upon himself. Mr. Ward was the first settler of Milan, a respectable man and in comfortable circumstances. So just the fact that it reached Boston, but his, so we're talking about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. His dad was 91, probably just didn't reach him. He hadn't, like, the obituary literally says that his dad had no idea.
Yeah. So I can see why he didn't claim his body, but he also had a niece, and his niece had a daughter. So he had those people who could have claimed his body, and they might not have had the financial means to do it. But if it was something else, imagine having a family member who did something like this and was executed and being so ashamed of it that you just decide, do whatever you want with the body. I don't want anything to do with it. I wash my hands of this, you know?
Well, right now, if you don't claim the body, then the county, it's usually the county, will do for free. They'll take care of it. It'll usually be in an unmarked grave. If they didn't have the means, then they knew. But at that time, it was usually the church.
That's what I'm saying, is they either didn't have the means or they just wanted to wash their hands of it and have nothing to do with it at all.
Maybe they have different last names and they didn't want to be affiliated. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Now we go on to the hauntings. I guess it's believed that in downtown Sylvania, and we have grown up there all of our lives, and I never knew this, and I'm pissed. Every year around Halloween, they have haunted ghost tours all up and down Main Street. It said that Olive and Return haunt that street. And now that I know that, this October, I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
So what's interesting is that I happened upon a significant restaurant on Main Street.
You happened upon. Explain that.
I literally happened upon it. We were celebrating my birthday last year, and we were going down Main Street. We were going to go to a bar down there. And I just happened to look over, and I see a restaurant called Olives. And at the time, I was researching this murder. And I'm like, there's no way that was a coincidence. The reason why I was looking that way in the first place was because I was trying to count the buildings. Like, where would Ward's house have been at the time? And almost exactly where Ward's house probably would have been is where Olive's restaurant is. And I'm like, there's no way that's a coincidence. So I looked it up. Olives has a Facebook page, Olives on Main. And one of the first posts I saw was an article about Return Jonathan Meggs Ward. And I'm like, oh my God. So we went in there. I'm like, I got to check it out. I got to talk to the owner. And I'm not a very social person. So that was like kind of a big thing for me to do, but I had to do it. So we go into this restaurant and this waitress seats us. And I go, can I ask you a weird question? She's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, is this restaurant named after Olive Davis? And she goes, the murder victim in the 1800s? I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, it is. She goes, I'm not from around this area, so I don't know the ins and outs of the story. She goes, but yes, this restaurant is named after her. And I'm like, that is so freaking cool. And she goes, well, the owner's right over there. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I didn't say I wanted to talk to her or anything, but the owner ended up bringing our food out to us because I think the waitress went back and said, hey, they're asking. So she came out and she was more than willing to talk to us. And she goes, yeah, I guess it's kind of weird that I named a restaurant after a
No, not
ghost.
at all.
And I'm like, no, that's not weird at all. I'm like, that is
It's
so
honoring.
cool. Like, that is awesome. Yeah. And she goes, she walked away for a minute. And I looked at Tony and I'm like, I go, should I ask about hauntings? And he goes, don't make it weird. He's like, no, don't. Well, she came back and started talking to us more, and she's the one who mentioned it. She goes, Olive's here. And I'm like, really? You think so? And she's like, oh, yeah. She didn't give me details of why she thought that. But yeah, she said that she was looking for a picture of Olive to frame and put up on the wall. She goes, the only picture I can find is of the dickhead who killed her. And she's like, of course, I'm not going to put his picture up on the wall. I'm like, hell no, you don't do that. She goes, I can't find a picture of him of her anywhere. It doesn't exist. She's like, I looked everywhere. She also told me something else that was pretty interesting. The basement of this restaurant, she's pretty sure, is one of the only original basements from that time, because apparently there was a fire on that street in
The Great
1887.
Fire of Sylvania.
Yes, this fire destroyed 19 businesses. It started on one corner. There is a pretty good section of that road that is nothing but shops and restaurants and bars and things like that. And that's the part that burned down. Back then, I mean, this was like a small fire, but a very big fire at the same time. It did a lot of damage. Like I said, it destroyed 19 businesses. The sidewalks were wooden. It burned up the sidewalks. Everything was destroyed. Apparently, back then, Sylvania did not yet have a fire department. So they called Toledo to try and get Toledo to come out and help put out this fire, but Toledo didn't make it in time. All they could do was send the women and children far enough away to be out of danger, and they all watched as the men would get together with buckets of water and just dump it on the fire. That's all they could do. They couldn't save it. Toledo couldn't help. It was all gone.
And if you get on our website, and I'm sure that I will post this on Facebook as well, I do have old pictures of Main Street, or it was actually Division then, of what it actually looked like, as well as pictures of what it looks like now. It's interesting. Check it out.
Also, help keep Olives in business. She's been open for, I want to say, about 1.5 years now. She does some really cool stuff there. Go to Olives on Main on Facebook and look them up. She has mediums come in and you can get readings. She said that she wanted to participate in the haunted tour this year around Halloween time. But this is a pretty awesome thing that she did to honor Olive Davis.
No, it is amazing.
We want to see it stay open for a while because it's so cool.
Yeah, I went there as well. One of the last times I was in Toledo, we ended up going there. I had a Reuben sandwich, which was actually one of the best Reubens I've ever had. Very well priced.
I had a great big chicken salad.
That was very big.
And for the price that you pay, you get so much food. You're going to go home with food left over in a box.
But you can find the link to Olives. We'll post it on our Facebook page. We'll post it on the website as well. She did give me approval to promote her restaurant.
We got approval. She is not paying us to promote her, nothing. We asked permission to be able to do this because we just think it's so cool and we want to see her stay open. So yeah, check out Olives.
But just don't make things weird. I don't want...
Yeah, don't make it weird. Don't go in there asking about hauntings. Don't go in there with EMF meters saying, can I do a ghost hunt? It's
not that environment. Don't make it weird.
Just go in there and order some lunch. Go in there for brunch. They have mimosas and Bloody Marys for brunch. They're open from, I think, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Go check them out. They're good. They're nice people. And it's pretty cool to sit there and think about, morbidly cool, I should say, to sit in that restaurant and look around and think about this might be exactly where it all happened.
Well, I believe it is, because there was another newspaper article that I found. There was some editorial into the Sylvania Herald, someone talking about it, where it could have been. And they said it was the fourth shop down on Main Street / Division from Monroe Street. And if you count down, on the corner of Main and Monroe Street is an Ace Hardware. There's 2 more shops, and then the 4th one is Olive's, which the 4th one also would have been his tailor shop. So it, give or take, I'm assuming 20 feet, 50 feet.
Yeah, and the easiest way to get into Olive's is to go around back and park kind of over next to the parking lot of the police station right there. And you go through the back door of Olive's and you have to walk through that alley. Right there is where they found Olive's jawbone. That's crazy to think about.
Disturbing.
I think about it every time we go there. Yeah, it's disturbing. So that's all I have about that.
Well, I think we have covered a lot with that. A lot more than what people expected it to turn out after the first episode. Definitely more of trigger warnings.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that this episode turns out well and that people like it, because I can't do this again. I can't remember if I mentioned this in the beginning or not, but Return Jonathan Meigs Ward is actually Ohio's very first known serial killer, first documented serial killer. Now, I looked this up this morning because it just kind of popped into my head because we were going to do this episode today. H.H. Holmes was supposed to be America's first serial killer, but he was active like 40 years after Ward.
So could Ward actually be the first serial killer? Documented?
Could Ward actually be the first documented serial killer of not only Ohio, but America? I'm not going to look up all the serial killers. I'm just saying H.H. Holmes wasn't the first, but he was the most, he was more prominent. People know more. People know more about H.H. Holmes than they do of Ward.
No one knows of Ward. That's why we're doing this.
Not really. No. Yeah, I mean, if you grew up in Sylvania, you probably heard about him. Maybe you even heard the whole story, but we grew up in Sylvania and there were only mentions of it.
If you type in first American serial killer, Herman Webster Mudgett pops up, which is H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, that's H.H. Holmes.
And I mean, he was executed in 1896. He was active in like the 1880s. He was born in 1861. And Jonathan Return Meigs Ward was executed before he was even born. I feel like we need to do more research on it, but it is very possible that
they got that wrong. H.H. Holmes definitely wasn't the first.
I mean, he's going to be the most notable person for it.
Yeah. When did they coin serial killer? Because I think they were calling him multi-murderer.
It was in the 1970s. The FBI coined the term serial killer because of Ted Bundy.
That's what I thought, because I was thinking about that this morning. I just forgot to look up when they coined that saying. So, yeah, H.H. Holmes and Ward were not even considered serial killers until the 1970s. They were considered multi-murderers. But as far as all that goes, I think that's all we've got for tonight.
Righto. The end.
The end. Finally. We can forget about Ward now, I hope. So thanks for listening. I hope you liked it. And hopefully we'll see you next time.
Well, have a good night.